Cape Town, where we've been waiting for a vote in the National Assembly or discussion on the potential or the possibility of establishing an ad hoc committee to look into allegations. Bring up those pictures, please, of instituting an ad hoc committee or establishing one to look into allegations of corruption and other wrongdoing in the law or enforcement space, including the SAPS. Let's listen.
Members of the judiciary. Speaker, the DA commends the committee for recognizing that Parliament cannot abdicate its constitutional responsibility. Section 55 of the Constitution is very clear. The National Assembly must hold the executive to account, even in the face of parallel investigations. We welcome the urgency with which this House has resolved to independently oversee the political and institutional dimensions of this crisis. We particularly note the importance of the investigating committee being empowered to act decisively, transparently, and within a fixed time frame. Its work must complement, not duplicate, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. But where necessary, Parliament must go further, especially where the executive has already demonstrated its inability or unwillingness to police itself. Honourable House Chair, while we note the President's decision to replace the Honourable Mkhwanazi as Minister of Police and initiate a judicial inquiry, the DA remains deeply concerned by the extent of the alleged rot. SAPS's Crime Intelligence Division, the JMPD, Correctional Services, prosecutors and even judicial officers have been unfortunately implicated. If this is true, these revelations suggest a mafia state within the state, where the lines between law enforcement and organized crime have eroded and collapsed. We call on this investigation to also interrogate the legality of the moratorium placed on the crime intelligence appointments, the political manipulation of procurement processes, including the 360 million Medicare 24 contract, the suspicious reassignment of dockets and arrests that appear designed to derail justice. We also welcome the public prosecutor's investigation into whether Honourable Mkhwanazi misled Parliament, which is a serious breach of executive ethics if proven. Speaker, let us not forget, this crisis was not born in a vacuum. It is the product of years of cadre deployment, lack of vetting within the police, political interference, and a culture of impunity. The time for selective accountability is over. The DA therefore supports the report's recommendations and calls for the immediate commencement of the parliamentary investigation, public access to regular interim reports on the Commission of Inquiry, whistleblower protection not only for Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, but all others that may come forward in this investigation, and the urgent strengthening of parliamentary oversight over the SAPS, IDAC, and related institutions. The truth will and must come out, and if that truth is damning, as it seems to be, then prosecutions must surely follow. I thank you.
Thank you, the MKP.
Thank you very much, House Chair. This is the report we intended to support, not the other one. So people must not be dramatic. We all commit mistakes. We are human beings. Honorable members, today we want to start our submission by quoting this fundamental principle of the rule of law. Open quote. The absolute supremacy and predominance of the law as opposed to the influence of arbitrary power, it excludes the existence of arbitrariness and prerogative or even wider discretionary authority on the part of the government. The people are ruled by the law and by the law alone. A man may be punished for a breach of law, but he can be punished for nothing else. Close quote. Honourable members, as we rise to support the establishment of the ad hoc committee, it is in favour of this legal principle that as the MK party we hereby salute Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi for taking head-on the perceived untouchables on the 6th of July 2025 by exposing criminal syndicates to which our criminal justice system has been hell-bent uninterrupted for a protracted period of time. By his fearlessness, he extricated many South Africans who are scared to expose shenanigans to which state institutions like the NPA, judiciary, the police department have been subjected for decades by the former liberation movement. Our support for the establishment of the ad hoc committee is not informed by an irrational appetite of supporting things which are not worth supporting, like other parties do more often than not. It is rather consciously informed by an intervention Parliament is legally expected to do under the present circumstances in terms of Section 55 and Section 56 of the South African Constitution. Our support for this is informed by how the doctrine of separation of powers defines the role of Parliament in the context of our constitutional democracy. Our support for this is inspired by the words of Amilcar Cabral when he said, open quote, "Tell no lies, claim no easy victories," close quotes. Hence, our clarion call that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi must appear before the ad hoc committee in Parliament and expose all the police officers, prosecutors, judges, members of Parliament, and all officials in the Department of Police who are in cahoots with criminals. An allegation by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi against judges justifies our valid call for a lifestyle audit against judges. It is our firm belief that judges are human beings. They are not a paragon of morality and therefore are corruptible. Honorable members, if institutions in the justice cluster were free from an undue, unethical influence by criminal syndicates, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa will be wearing red and yellow overalls today in correctional service facilities, serving his sentence for hiding undeclared dollars under mattress in Palapala. Shamila Batoi, who runs the NPA like she is running a saloon, will now be sitting at home watching the sun rises and sets for her disastrous incompetency. The NPA and police department were long reduced to being entities which do nothing except...
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your time has now expired.
Drive through stealing.
Thank you.
The public purse. We support General Mkhwanazi.
Time up.
The EFF.
Jigitela, Mkhonto, jigitela.
Chairperson, just before his assassination in 1993, the great Christian had a prophetic revelation when he said, and I quote, "What I fear the most is that the liberators emerge as elitists who drive around in Mercedes-Benz and use the resources of this country to live in palaces and gather riches." We are here today because of insatiable appetite for riches by those who not so long ago were at the forefront of the fight for liberation in this country. Their primary obsession have become leading fleshy lifestyle and not serving the people. They've allowed their revolutionary consciousness, if there was ever any, to be replaced by unbridled greed and gluttony. To this end, they are prepared to violate every little piece of law, to offend all known revolutionary values, and they are prepared to even kill in pursuit of their own self-interest. This weekend, the EFF will be hosting its 12th anniversary rally in Khayelitsha, a place so riddled by crime, where it is not easy to make a distinction between criminals and police, all because SABC has been so comprehensively captured by gangs that our people have become wary of reporting crime to the police. The allegation leveled by the KZN Provincial Commissioner Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi against the collusion of Mr. Senzo Mchunu, Deputy National Commissioner Sibiya, together with members of the criminal underworld, are clearly demonstrative of the extent to which liberators, Tsotsi, are willing to go to satisfy their greed. Mr. Mkhwanazi is alleged to have worked through his associate, Brown Mkhwanazi, who he denied knowing here in Parliament, to establish solid links with known criminals and murderers. We know that Ket Matala was fingered in the massive corruption at Tembisa Hospital, which corruption led to the death of a whistleblower, Babita Tegoram. We also know that Ket Matala is a murder and attempted murder accused. Despite all this, a minister responsible for policing saw it fit to work with such characters. For as long as he derived benefits as a chairperson, we cannot fight crime if those entrusted with the responsibility of protecting our citizens are themselves criminals. What this shows is that the South African Police Service is a seriously compromised service operating on behalf of and for the benefit of criminals. What this also shows is that the rods start right at the top and that ministers and commissioners themselves enable the capture of SABs for nefarious reason. To get to the bottom of this and to reassert the role of Parliament in providing oversight to the executive, we support the recommendation of the report for the establishment of an ad hoc committee to conduct an inquiry to get to the bottom of corruption, infiltration and
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your time has now expired.
Correctional services,
Thank
Metro
you.
Police Department and other institutions. I thank you.
The IFP.
Thank you, as Chairperson. 2 weeks ago, the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner of Police, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, held a press briefing that shook the nation to its core. He alleged political interference, corruption involving Minister Mkhunu, and a justice-linked crime syndicate controlled by an international drug cartel. Subsequent events, including the leave of absence taken by both the Minister and the Deputy National Commissioner of Police, have aimed to restore stability and confidence among our officers. The IFP notes and welcomes the Speaker's actions, given the urgency of the matter. For too long, Parliament has been seen as a mere tick box oversight body. However, the gravity of the matter demands that Parliament fulfill its core duty, holding the executive accountable. The allegations are serious, and the IFP welcomes the committee's focused terms of reference on matters within the jurisdiction. The IFP also welcomes the President's decision to act on our call for a commissioner of inquiry. This is a response to a complex issue that warrants a thorough investigation, given the inquiry's broad scope. In consideration of the issue, we have raised the IFP's acceptance of the report. Thank you.
Thank you. The PA.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. As a patriotic alliance, we are committed to the truth, transparency and the justice. And therefore, we fully support the establishment of the ad hoc committee to investigate the allegations made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. And that is all we have to say on this matter, and we fully support. Thank you.
Thank you. The FF Plus.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Chairperson, many think that Parliament is a toothless talk shop when it comes to investigative committees and the like. Previous actions, however, such as the Section 194 Committee, tasked to determine the previous Public Protector's fitness to hold office, as well as the removal of several judges, some in this House have personal experience of both of these examples, which have proven the opposite of toothless, and so should this proposed ad hoc committee. Die Suid-Afrikaanse Polisiediens het nie 'n goeie naam en beeld gehad om mee te begin nie, en die beweringe wat deur Luitenant-Generaal Mkhwanazi op die 6de Julie gemaak is, was die spreekwoordelike kersie op die koek. Die damwal het gebreek en sedertdien word Suid-Afrika met 'n stortvloed van polisiedrama begroet. Die president het gereageer deur die Madlanga-kommissie van ondersoek in die lewe te roep, hoewel dit afsonderlik van die parlementêre proses is baie vrae met goeie rede oor die nut van so 'n kommissie gevra. veral gesien in die lig van 2 voltooide verslae oor polisieprobleme wat reeds op die president se tafel lê en nog nie tot uitvoering gebring is nie. Die president sal dus verstaan waarom Suid-Afrikaners nie op en afspring oor nog 'n kommissie om nog bedrog en korrupsie te ondersoek nie, maar die hoop beskaam nie en vertrou ons dat dit vrugte sal afwerp. Coming back to the parliamentary process, the committee will not only be tasked with investigating the 8 allegations that fall within the National Assembly's accountability and oversight function, but it will also play an important role in restoring the trust and confidence of the South African public in Parliament. Chairperson, during the deliberations of the joint committees, one member said, and I quote, "We are General Mkhwanazi, and General Mkhwanazi is us." Now, with all due respect to that member, it should have been, "We are South Africans who deserve to know the truth and depth of these allegations without our party political preconceived notions getting in the way of an objective, impartial parliamentary inquiry, and South Africans are us." That is our job, and that is what we should do. I thank you.
Thank you. Action SA.
Chairperson, Action SA was the first party to call for a public debate in this House to ventilate the allegations made by General Mkhwanazi and for Parliament to meaningfully intervene and address the matter transparently. Regrettably, however, we learned through the media that the Speaker unilaterally referred the matter to 3 separate committees without affording this House, as the representatives of the people, the opportunity to express its views. To add to injury, the most disappointing president of all time, because yes, we had hope in you, President Cyril Ramaphosa, has opted to institute yet another commission of inquiry, costly, slow, non-binding process that leads to findings without action and without jail time, a tactic that has become the default response whenever a crisis hits this country. #Zondo Commission. We now note the Joint Committee on Police and Justice has decided to establish an ad hoc committee alongside the work of the secretive Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. This is not what South Africans are calling for. We, however, support this ad hoc committee, but know that given the obvious trust deficit in the current system, countless commissions of inquiries, we will be right here in Parliament holding every single one of those accused accountable, again in the absence of backbone and leadership. We are under no illusion these committees and commissions will not fix the dysfunction within SAPS, nor will they root out the rot of corruption that plagues top leadership and affects our communities. South Africans have had enough. They've had enough of family meetings. They deserve better. They've had enough of commissions that leads to absolutely nothing. They deserve a president that puts accountability and action above bureaucratic delay and political evasion. So kan dit nie aangaan nie. I thank you.
Thank you. The ACDP.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, the ACDP rises in support of the ad hoc committee, and we, like the whole of South Africa, were deeply concerned, not only deeply concerned, but outraged by these shocking revelations made by General Mkhwanazi of corruption going all the way up to ministerial level, including SAPS officials, prosecutors, and even members of the judiciary. Now, we know as public representatives that our communities are ravaged by crime and violence, murders, rapes, and robberies. And while there are many hard-working police officials, prosecutors, and members of the judiciary, there are far too many allegations of samewerking, of cooperation of police with criminal syndicates, and that is at the heart of these allegations. South Africans are demanding justice. They are demanding that these allegations are fully investigated and that those implicated must be placed behind bars. They are demanding questions as to who guards the guards and what are we as Parliament doing. We have an oversight function, and that is why this ad hoc committee is so important, as opposed to an inquiry, a commission of inquiry, which will take some time. We support this because it will be a quick fact-finding inquiry, and our recommendations, unlike a commission of inquiry, our recommendations are binding, and we can ensure that they are implemented through our oversight function. So it is also important that whistleblowers are fully protected and that all political parties should be able to be engaged, Madam Speaker, in this process. And we appreciate that the ad hoc committee has limited numbers, but we would urge that all members of Parliament are able to be involved as they are in terms of the rules. The ACDP supports this ad hoc committee, this report, and we will hold the police accountable.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your time has now expired. The UDM.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Writing in the Times Live on the 27th of March 2011, columnist Justice Malala captured the state of SABC when he said, and I quote, "Our cops cannot be trusted. Too many police are linked to too many gangsters and killers." Malala continued and said, and I quote, he said, "He's afraid of the police as some of them seem to be at the center of some of the most heinous crimes in our country." It took a very senior police officer in the name of General Mkhwanazi to confirm these allegations more than 15 years later. And while, for an example, we commend General Mkhwanazi for taking this very important and bold step, it is undeniable that these allegations means that SABC and the entire criminal justice system are currently facing a crisis of confidence. We must give credit where it's due. When the allegations came to light, the Speaker acted swiftly and decisively. She tasked 3 committees of Parliament to look into to consider the matter. Their recommendation, which has brought us here today to establish an ad hoc committee to consider the allegation, reflects our commitment to accountability and the rule of law. We support the establishment of this ad hoc committee and its comprehensive terms of reference that seek to look into the systemic failures which led us to this current quagmire, and we're saying we are going to participate fully in the process, and we also support the initiative which was taken by the President of the Republic when he established the Commission of Inquiry to look into exactly the same issues, but focusing on various and different areas. These investigations must continue simultaneously and do so in a very complementary sense so that we're able to uncover all the systemic failures that led us to this quagmire. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Rise.
Nakenza Mtshamastool ivulavurile mhaka leyi. Hi Rise Mzansi ya seketela ku va ku va na ad hoc committee. So ni nge vulavuli swo tala Mtshamastool. Ni lava ku ri matimba ya mehe ni ma vekela loko se ad hoc committee tshamile, because ku va ni declare namuntlha swi vula ku ri I'm holding anyone accountable. So I'm supporting the ad hoc committee. I'm reserving my energy for the actual committee.
Thank you. Bosa.
Honourable members, the joint report by the Portfolio Committee on Police and Justice into the Mkhwanazi allegations presents a deeply troubling conclusion. And that conclusion that it presents is that Parliament shouldn't conduct a full investigative inquiry. And the reason we're given is that it may overlap with the President's Judicial Commission of Inquiry. And so we've got to be clear that a judicial commission is not a substitute for Parliament's constitutional duty of oversight. It's an advisory mechanism and it's not a prosecutorial one. We've seen this before with the Zondo Commission, where there were important findings, but we did not have the accountability that we needed in order to make sure that people were brought to book. So this House must reject the idea that these processes are mutually exclusive, and we in fact propose that they are complementary. The Commission can investigate the systemic capture, and Parliament must focus on immediate political accountability. The SIU must then investigate criminality and do so now. That's why, as Build One South Africa, we reiterate our call for 3 urgent responses. The first is a time-bound ad hoc committee that is empowered to summon ministers, regulators, and security cluster leaders. A full-scale investigation, SIU investigation into potential criminality as a second, and as a third, yes, the Judicial Commission can then look into the systemic capture and the institutional reform that needs to take place as a result. We need to learn from the past. We needed the Zonda Commission because Parliament had failed in oversight, but now we have an opportunity to lead and make sure that all of these processes happen concurrently and we have the benefit of each of their roles. I thank you.
Thank you. The ATM.
Thank you, House Chair. As the ATM, we support the establishment of the ad hoc committee on the serious allegations that were made by General Mkhwanazi. Already we are seeing movement as some of the allegations are confirmed as we speak. We want to encourage all other public servants to speak out on all wrongdoings in the affairs of the state, and Parliament must be proactive and very responsive to all of the issues that are raised by the citizens, so that the citizens have confidence that Parliament does react and respond to their cries. And we want to put it very clearly, Asijiki, General Mkhwanazi is us, and we are General Mkhwanazi. We must always stand with all of the public representatives that are against all of the wrongdoing that are happening in our country. It cannot be that an entire KZN police commissioner speaks out and we do nothing as a people. We must always stand with the people that are transparent and that are against all of the wrongdoings that we see. I thank you.
Thank you. Al-Jamar.
No declaration.
Thank you. The NCC.
Thank you, Speaker. House Chair. Thank you, colleagues. One police general makes an allegation, commissions, ad hoc committees. I'm surprised you didn't bring the FBI in here. 3,000 colored boys die every year. Nothing. But I wanted on the record today that the National Colored Congress appears to be the only party that has not fallen for General Mkhwanazi's scam. We must ask the valid questions. Why is a fine young officer like Bongeng Kosi Dlamini locked up on 2 case laws that don't exist in the province that is governed, so to speak, by Mkhwanazi? Why is the killer of Sandiso Makaka willing to speak in court but prevented to? He claims that policemen drove him from the scene of the crime, the same province run by General Mkhwanazi. We speak of the whistleblowers. I am the whistleblower in this case. He's a reactionary. I do not want protection because all of our citizens are vulnerable. Tonight, 10 more of our sons die on the Cape Flats. Where's the commission into this? The NCC supports this ad hoc commission, but the NCC places on the record in advance that the whole criminal cabal that runs the South African police services will fall by the end of this. Thank you.
Thank you. The PAC. The UAT.
The UAT will support the ad hoc committee.
Thank you. Order, honourable members. Good. The ANC.
Honourable Chairperson, honourable members, the ANC support the establishment of the ad hoc committee in Parliament to investigate a serious allegation recently made by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. These allegations with touch on issues of interference, political manipulation, and systematic dysfunction within the key organs of state responsible for policing and public safety cannot be left unexamined, as the ANC were guided by our commitment to transparency, accountability, and constitutional imperative to uphold the rule of law. General Mkhwanazi's assertion, if accurate, paint a disturbing picture of how certain elements be undermining the integrity of law enforcement institutions for political or personal gain. Parliament has both the responsibility and the authority to get to the bottom of these claims not for political point scoring, but to protect the democratic institution that so many South Africans fought to build. This ad hoc committee must be empowered to conduct its work independently, thoroughly, and expeditiously. It must call on all relevant stakeholders, including SAPS leadership, the Ministry of Police, and other implicated parties to ensure that the truth is laid to bear. Let us clear this support of investigation is not an act of disloyalty. It is an information of our loyalty to the Constitution and to have the people of South Africa. We cannot allow a culture of impunity to take root, nor can we allow a vital institution to be captured by rogue interests. The ANC must remain resolute in strengthening oversight, rebuilding public trust in both policing structures, and ensuring that no individual or a group is above scrutiny. We will not shield wrongdoing, nor will we allow public confidence to be eroded through inaction. We support this committee not because of the personalities involved, but because it is the correct thing to do for democracy, for justice, and for the future of this country. We also support the President for establishing a commission of inquiry to investigate these allegations made by Advocate General Mkhwanazi. We believe that this report is a true reflection of the engagement of the Joint Committee sitting of the ANC, and the adoption of this report we support and we thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I now recognize the Chief Whip of the largest party.
No, thank you very much, House Chair. Before I get to the task that I'm standing up to discharge, can I request that the report that was presented here be adopted by the House first?
Thank you. Honourable members, are there any objections to the motion that the joint report be adopted? I don't see any hands. No objections. The report is thus agreed to. Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. Thanks, Honourable Chair, Honourable members. I therefore standing here to move that the House notes the wide-ranging allegations regarding security matters made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, on the 6th of July 2025, during a media briefing on the work of the political killing task team. Further note that on the 9th of July 2025, the Speaker of the National Assembly requested the portfolio committees on police and justice and constitutional development to consider the matter in terms of their respective mandates, make an assessment on the appropriate approach to dealing with it, and submit recommendations for consideration by the National Assembly. Recognizes that the two committees have since completed their tasks and submitted a joint report titled Wide-Ranging Allegations Made by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General.
That's ANC Chief Whip Mdumiseni Ntuli taking part in a debate that we're expecting will ultimately culminate in the adoption of a committee's recommendation that an ad hoc committee be established to look into allegations of corruption as well as abuse of power by certain people in the police service, including the Minister Senzo Mchunu, who we know now has been placed on a leave of absence, taken a leave of absence, if you want to phrase it in that way. Shadrack Sibia, also the deputy, that's one of the Deputy National Commissioners of Police, implicated in allegations made by the KZN Police Commissioner Mkhwanazi in a briefing that took place just over 2 weeks ago now. And it appears, at least from the contributions from the parties participating in this debate in the National Assembly this evening, that there is broad support for Parliament looking into the veracity of the claims made by Mkhwanazi. It would be the second official investigation into what he alleged in that briefing after President Ramaphosa just over a week ago confirmed that a judicial inquiry would then take place to look into possible allegation in the police service, the NPA, other parts of law enforcement, as well as the judiciary and the political elite, if you will, in the country, as per what General Mkhwanazi alleged was happening, was syndicates that were basically running the police service or having people who are in leadership positions doing their bidding. The issue around the disbandment or the dissolution of the political killings task team has also been a thorny one that Parliament will likely want to look into as well. Now, if the ad hoc committee is established, it'll do its work within a period of 90 days, but open, of course, to a possible extension.